Hey everybody, welcome back to Space Engineers 2, and here I've laid out all the blocks that are currently in the game. So each week the devs have been adding more and more blocks to the game, which is super duper awesome. But one thing I want to talk about was I feel like a lot of these are sort of cosmetic, which it is important to have cosmetic blocks. So as you can see over here, we got all these different shapes of armored blocks and light armored blocks, and you've got all these little miniaturized versions over here. The detailing blocks right here, those haven't really had a whole lot of, I'm sure they're going to add more detailing block shapes, but I will say if you see all these different shapes, and then over here you've got connectors and conveyor blocks, and you've got all these, and then you've got all these, but then when you look at things like lights, there's only 4 different types of lights. There's only 2 different types of buttons that would allow you to control ships without a seat. And then over here you've got, I think this is alright having this amount of stairs and a ramp and a little railings. I get that. Then you've got your interior wall blocks and a little barrier block, and you've got 4 different types of trusses. You've got all this huge plethora of glass shapes, but again, one thing that's missing is this is the smallest glass block available currently. You can't make, it would be really cool if they just made a transparent detailing block so that you could make tiny windows. That would be awesome. It wouldn't even need to be all fancy looking like this. It could just be a transparent block or a semi-transparent block. They also only have 2 antennas, a bed, and a table. The table, again, this is your only option when it comes to tables. In a lot of cases, you'd be better off just making a table out of the detailing blocks. And additionally, there's only 2 seat types. There's this classic seat type, and then there's this kind of fancy looking one, but it would be kind of cool if we could make a basic seat so that people could design their own cockpits. Then here we've got our reactors, the small one and the big one. Those are your only options. Only 2 options of solar power, 1 door option. So again, it would be kind of, I'm glad that they're adding all these decorative blocks, but you can see how much effort is being put into different block shapes. But then when it comes to things like even doors, you only have 1 door option. So that's just something that I've kind of noticed is like, that's really cool that each week they're adding new blocks, but a lot of the functional aspects of the game, we're not getting as much content per se. So we got, gyroscopes of these various different sizes and a gravity generator as well. They did add new thrusters to the game, so that's kind of cool. I believe at some point they will make it like Space Engineers 1, where certain propulsion mechanisms are for planets with atmospheres and other propulsion methods are for space. I do hope that they add a setting so that you can disable that, because for suspension of disbelief and a sci-fi for funsies purposes, it is kind of cool just to take a spacecraft from Earth into space without having to worry about the realism. But, to each their own. So these are some new blocks. I believe they're connector blocks. Let me look it up real quick. Yes, these are connector blocks. So I guess you can connect things and share resources through them. There's only 2 different sizes for these little, I call them little feet or little boots. These would allow you to, say you have another ship and you want to land it. I got this little satellite looking thing here, if I want to land a ship on this and keep it attached to where it won't float off or won't get bumped off, you would use these and you can activate them to, they're almost like little gravity boots for ships. So over here we start to get into, at some point, survival type of stuff for ore detectors. You've got, oxygen generators, a healing station or med bay. Right here, this is I'm trying to remember the names of all the blocks, but thankfully the names are written on there. This is a refinery. So there's only 2 sizes of oxygen generators, a couple refineries. These right here are ore detectors. Now, my greatest frustration as of right now in Space Engineers 2 is the fact that there are only 2, and only one of these are functional, weapon type blocks in the game. So here you've got a little mining drill, and it is only available in one size as of right now. And sadly, that's the only one that's functional, because the little Gatling gun is not functional at all, which is pretty disappointing, if I do say so myself. If I could ask for any new block in the game in the next couple weeks, it would be a functioning weapon system. But yeah, so this is what they've added so far to the game. Again, I do appreciate that they're adding all of these blocks, but I hope there's like a visual, you can kind of see on the artistic side of things, they are adding a lot, and then on the functional side of things, there's not quite as much. So, alright, well, until next time.